Hi everyone, this is Joan Gallagher, and I'm presenting the artist Claude Gillot for my second artist profile. He is best known as the early master of the great painter Antoine Watteau. What else do we know about him? I found that the little chronological detail exists. He did not usually sign and date his work, making it difficult to attribute it as well as date it, and academic articles offer some conflicting information. But what we do know is that he was born in 1673 in northeastern France. His first teacher is presumed to be his father, who was a painter and embroiderer. In Paris, he studied painting and etching in the studio of Academy member Jean-Baptiste Corneille. He made a living as a teacher, a decorator, a book illustrator, a tapestry designer, and a set and costume designer for the theater, ballet, and opera. He was admitted to the Academy in 1715. What else do we know? He ran a marionette theater. That's a maybe. He wrote ballets and plays. That's another maybe. But we do know he designed theatrical costumes and sets, and we also know a large portion of Gillot's known work today consists of the drawings and sketches of theatrical scenes and sets and costume figures. He was involved with the theater in some capacity throughout his career, and scholars may have wrongly attributed Watteau's work to Gillot, and vice versa. New Gillot work was found as recently as 2004 in a private collection. We have no record of royal patronage, that he enjoyed any royal or aristocratic patronage. Let's take a look at some of his work. We know he submitted a history painting as his reception piece for the Academy. That painting no longer exists. After his acceptance, he adapted his art to suit the fashionable tastes of the times. Few of his paintings have survived to present day. The painting at top left is The Two Carriages. It depicts a scene from a play that is said to be based on a real incident. The painting on the right depicts a scene from the popular play The Tomb of Master Andre. Popular commedia dell'arte figures shown here include Harlequin, Pantaloon, and Mezzatine. Gillot made this drawing for an engraving to be included in a book about the theater. The drawing depicts the Italian comedy's tendency to satirize human folly and pretense. His dashing shorthand penwork brings a lightheartedness that conveys the comical mood of action on stage. A great amount of Gillot's work that exists today is costume sketches such as these. They could be quite detailed and colored, as in the character Two Gentlemen, or more of a study, as seen in the four actresses in theatrical costume with elaborate coiffures. A portion of Gillot's living came from his work as a decorator. These two images show sketches presumed to be studies for decorative panels. But let's get back to his influence on Antoine Watteau. What do we know about that? In 1705, Watteau was employed as an assistant to Gillot in his studio and workroom. Watteau followed traditional avenues for training, learning in part by copying the master. Gillot's work has been labeled pre-Rococo. Watteau clearly shows his influence in many of his works. Gillot's favorite subject is the comedic theater. We may assume that Watteau was introduced to the theater world by his master, and it also remained his lifelong subject as well. Watteau learned by imitating Gillot, yet he surpassed his master. It's understood that after a quarrel with Gillot, Watteau moved to the workshop of the decorator Claude Gillot III. Well, what are their similarities? They were only 11 years apart in age. They both died young, Gillot at age 49 and Watteau at just age 37. Neither of them married. They both loved the spectacle of the comedic theater and its characters. It was a lifelong theme and subject for both artists. They were both elected to membership at the Academy. Watteau, the student before the teacher in 1712, and Gillot in 1715. They're both known for a less severe and formal, more naturalistic, looser style. And they both oppose the official, formal history painting of the Academy. And they both lacked aristocratic and loyal patronage. So let's compare them. We know that scholars have wrongly attributed Watteau's work to Gillot and vice versa. There is no question that Watteau developed a distinct style in Gillot's studio workroom. There is also no question that Watteau built on that beginning and fully developed the fait galant genre. Let's look at some side-by-side comparisons. Before we look at direct comparisons, I think it is helpful to look at the typical master-apprentice relationship. It was considered natural for the student to copy the master. That's clearly seen here. Top right is a Gillot sketch. Below is a similar Watteau. Then we can see that Watteau's student, Pierre-Antoine Guillard, made a close copy of the sketch from Watteau. The style of Watteau's panel and the Gillot tapestry design show a great similarity in style. These paintings, Watteau's on the left, Gillot's on the right, both show a theater scene. The paint application differs, yet there is much about the styling and draftsmanship that reflects similarities. Gillot was known as a painter of the fete champêtre, and Watteau for the fete galante. These terms both mean an outdoor entertainment or rural festival. There is a lot in Gillot's painting on the left that echoes Watteau's on the right. Both have a sense of movement, a romanticized setting, and the depiction of an idealized nature both say fate to the viewer. We can also see that Gillot's fate was completed some time before Watteau's. Another comparison is seen here. Gillot's at left is only a sketch and shows all the elements of a fete, a romanticized outdoor setting, groupings of people, and loose sketching style. Watteau's at right is not the best reproduction, but we can see the similarities. A Watteau scholar might be able to name the artist on this slide. I can't tell them apart. Can you? Here they are. These undated sketches show how difficult it might be to assign attribution and also shows the similarities between the two artists. We have Watteau, upper left and lower right, and Gillot, upper right and lower left. Curator Jennifer Tonkovich wrote the first English-language volume detailing the life and works of Claude Gillot. It was just published in April of this year. 18th century French art is dominated by great names, but there is also a diverse Paris art scene. Those artists creating careers outside of the Royal Academy included Gillot. Her book explores his work as a designer, painter, and illustrator, and describes his enduring impact on Paris's artistic and intellectual landscape in his time, as well as his impact on the art history of this era. Her book could spark more interest in the artist and his work, as well as other artists of this time that are also little known. Gillot's career and life ended sadly. He lost most of his money in the financial collapse of 1720. That was one of the first stock market crashes. It was called the Mississippi Bubble. He died not long after in 1722. So in conclusion, what do the scholars say about him? That he was a pioneer of the fete galant genre that Watteau made his own. He was instrumental in putting the wit back into French art. He foreshadowed the Rococo style with his new subject matter and spontaneous decorative style. He helped to free French painting from the formal academic conventions imposed by the Academy's Charles Lebrun. He maintained his individualism with beyond court taste of the day and without royal patronage. So what did his contemporaries think? They recognized his role in developing the fete galant, which was brought to maturity by his famous student, Watteau. In 1726, a collector remarked that Watteau I quote, had a taste for fêtes, theater scenes, and modern costumes in imitation of his master. So my thoughts on this is that I agree with the scholarly thought that Watteau surpassed his early master in technique, innovation, and subject matter. But I wonder, what would Watteau be if Gillot had not been his earliest master? Would a different master have developed Watteau in a different direction? Possibly. I think we owe a big thanks to Claude Gillot. Thanks for listening.